Sportsline rolls on here on News Channel 5 Plus, taking your phone lines or phone calls as always. Our lines are open, 737-7767 the number. Talking championship games from this weekend, talking the end of the Titans season, much more as well. And we go to the lines here to start segment 2 and say hello to Eric. Eric, good evening. What's going on?
Hey, good evening, Steve. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Appreciate the call.
Yeah. Just a couple of things on the conference championship games. I tell you, I know one individual who's not happy that this is the Rams and the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Do you know who that would be?
Who's that?
That's Mr. Baker Mayfield. Of course, you had OBJ, who, of course, is now with the Rams, and, of course, what Cincinnati's doing with Joe Burrow in his second year, by the way, recovering from a horrific leg injury and less talented than the Cleveland Browns, and he was a number one draft choice like Baker Mayfield, and he's going to the Super Bowl. And, of course, Browns fans have got to be seething, and I know they probably wish they had Joe Burrow. But just some observations on both championship games. Credit to the Rams for the incredible grit that they showed in coming back and winning that game. Not to take anything away from them, but I will say this. I thought the officiating in that game was terrible. I mean, and I don't know you don't want to throw a lot of flags in the championship games, but there were just several penalties and stuff that to me were just obvious. The fact that the Rams at least twice had delay of game and they didn't throw the flag, which I was kind of surprised about. Also the fact that there were some cheap shots in that game where the 49ers had a couple of them, especially one on Stafford. There was also a cheap shot from one of the Rams defenders, I don't know who it was, on Deebo Samuel. And it looked like that the cup times are going to be fights breaking out, especially right before the half, where I guess it was Jalen Ramsey getting in the face of the kicker, Robbie Gould.
Robbie Gould, yeah.
Like, what's going on? I mean, it's just like, I understand you don't want to throw penalties, but sometimes it's just like, they're about to come to blows. And I don't know also who was advising Sean McVay. He threw 2 challenge flags, which were terrible. It could have wound up costing him in the game, but that fortunately did not cost him. But I don't know where he was getting his advice from, but it was pretty terrible. But anyway, credit to the Rams. And I'll be honest, the other game, I thought it was when it was 14-3, Kansas City, the game was over. And then it was 21-3, for sure was over. But give Cincinnati credit. They came back, got that touchdown, and then just a horrible play call. Just the decision before the half. Listen, I don't have a problem that they went for it, but they should have took the shot in the end zone with 5-6 left. I definitely wouldn't have done it with 3. I felt like, the longest I should have taken was 3, maybe 4 seconds. They shouldn't have taken all 5. Why are you throwing it out in the flat? You should have just stride the end zone. You would have still had a shot to kick a field goal. I mean, they didn't have any timeouts. That just made no sense to me. And also give credit to the Bengals in the second half, holding Patrick Mahomes, a great Patrick Mahomes to 3 points. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what type of offense it was running in the near the end of the game where they had 1st and goal, wound up Mahomes getting sacked and then fumbling and almost losing the ball there. And they had to kick, which was not a chip shot field goal, but of course it goes in overtime. And the one thing I'm so glad that happened, I know people have their different opinions, but everybody was saying, they said Sean Payton tweeted out the game's over because the Chiefs won the coin flip. Josh Allen tweeted out Payne. Well, wait, Cincinnati plays some defense and got a pick. In fact, they almost had a pick 6 earlier before they got that other interception. It's just like, what happened to Mahomes? It looked like he was playing when they were 3 and 4, and when he came here and played the Titans, and they got beat 27-3. But I tell you what, I'm just so happy for Cincinnati, the city. I listened to the post-game show from Cincinnati, from WLW, and just hearing the fans go crazy doing the Who Dey chant and, honking horns and everything like that, just to U4. It was just so nice to see. I mean, I hated it came at the expense of us, but, hey, it just goes to show you anything can happen. And I just think we blew a golden opportunity this year because it's only going to get harder next year.
Yep.
With all the quarterbacks and everything.
Eric, thanks for the call. You make some good points there. I know some diehard Bengals fans, and they're just euphoric over what's happened in the last couple of weeks. They've waited a long time for this, and they took advantage of the opportunities presented in front of them. Count them out at your own peril, because I was there with you in that first half. I thought there was no way that they could come back in that game the way the Chiefs were playing. But I'm glad you brought up the sequence again at the end of the first half, because I'm with you. I don't think it was necessarily a terrible decision from where they were on the field to try to run one more play with 5 seconds left. But here's the deal. That ball has to go to the end zone, and it has to go to the end zone quickly. I don't even understand why there's a route on the field that doesn't take the receiver into the end zone. Because if you throw that short of the goal line and get tackled, exactly what happened happens. The half ends. It's over. You get nothing. And where they were assured of 3, barring a catastrophe. I mean, it was shorter than an extra point. It was an old extra point from where they were. So you're getting 3, no matter what, as long as you don't do what they did. And so that was a disaster. But even more than that, I think as much credit as you need to give the Bengals defensively for what they did in the second half, and they deserve credit for how they changed things up, how they bottled things up with the receivers. But Patrick Mahomes is better than that. And he just looked like a guy who was rattled in the second half. And that's hard to imagine for a guy who's won a Super Bowl, won an MVP, and been as productive as he's been in this league and in as many big spots as he's been in this league. But he looked rattled in the second half of that game. And I don't know if it all goes back to what happened right before half, but he was not the same. And you talk about those plays at the end when they were down there by the goal line. I mean, it's first and goal. And I understand running it on the first play because you don't want to give Burrow and the Bengals a ton of time on the back end. So I don't have a problem with running it. But then on second down, he runs around forever with nothing there. It just felt to me like in the second half and in overtime, Mahomes tried to make the big play on every play. And you know the old saying, you can't go broke by making a profit. With all the weapons the Rams have, I think there was more of that available to him. He could check down to Kelsey here or there. He could find Tyreek Hill on a bubble screen and try to get 5, 6, 7 yards. It didn't always have to be a home run. And I think Mahomes tried to hit the long ball, try to hit the big play, try to win the game with one throw too much in the second half and overtime, even in overtime. His first couple throws aren't very good. It's third and long. He tries to air it out for Tyreek Hill. It's a great play by the Bengals secondary, but that turns into an interception that gives the Bengals the ball essentially at midfield. I mean, worst case, be smart with the football and you punt it away and make them drive 75 yards to be in position. Make them drive at least 50 to have a shot to kick a field goal to win. Instead, you give them the ball essentially at midfield after that interception. They only needed 2 first downs or so to really put themselves in a spot where Evan McPherson felt very confident to go out and knock down his 12th straight field goal in the postseason. I just think that was a miss. And it all started with the deal before halftime. And I think that had lasting ramifications for the Chiefs throughout the entire second half. Your thoughts on the NFC game? I agree with most of that, too. I think what you saw from a officiating perspective is, yes, they let him play. There were a couple moments when I thought, all right, there could be a flag there for something unnecessary after the whistle, perhaps, or taunting or what have you. But the biggest thing to me that I thought was interesting were the numerous times that the Rams did let the play clock go to 0 and snap it and get away with it. Now, the mechanics are that if you're that back judge and you're looking at the play, you are supposed to look at the play clock and see when it goes to 0. And when it does, look back at the ball, and if it's been snapped, it's good. If it hasn't been, you're supposed to blow it dead. That's the mechanics of the officiating and what they want them to do. But it felt like that happened a ton. And it maybe wasn't just, okay, it's at 0. Oh, the ball snapped. It felt a little bit more like, oh, it's at 0. Look at the ball. It's still there. Oh, now they've snapped it. It felt like the Rams were very much pushing the envelope with that. And they never once got called for it. And that's something I'm sure the 49ers have a little beef with as well. The other thing, though, that dropped interception by San Francisco was massive in the fourth quarter of that game. Because remember, they were up by 10. And that play just maybe puts the game away if you get it at that point. And that was a terrible throw by Stafford. But the drop gives the Rams extra life. And they go down the field. They get a touchdown, get a field goal, get another field goal. And the rest is history. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get unfairly criticized, I think, for his play and that final interception, which was not good. But at that point, you got to make something happen. I wouldn't have done it in the fashion he did on that play and try to live on the next down and make a miraculous play with a better scheme for that one. But that one play certainly didn't cost the 49ers the game. And overall, Jimmy Garoppolo was good enough for San Francisco to win the game. And probably his last game as a 49er. And you think about this, in his last 3 years, Garoppolo has taken the 49ers to a Super Bowl, been hurt, and taken them to the NFC Championship game as a 6th seed. And yet, he's probably going to get run out of town. He is almost certainly done as a 49er, is going to have to go try to find a job elsewhere next year. That, I guess, is the business they all live in, but it is also perhaps a bit unfair to a guy who has performed like that. Again, is he Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow? No. But Jimmy Garoppolo played well enough yesterday for the 49ers to potentially get to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years with him as their quarterback. And I think that gets lost on people. You know, when you talk here, for instance, with the Titans about Ryan Tannehill and his performance in the playoffs as of late, 3 interceptions last weekend against the Bengals, there are a lot of people locally and around the country that are asking the question, can the Titans win in the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill under center? Can he lead them to the Super Bowl or ultimately hoist a Lombardi trophy? That's the question everybody's asking. And no, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is not in that elite class, but Jimmy Garoppolo's already been to a Super Bowl. He nearly got to a second in 3 years. So when you start talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, he's at least proven that a lot of quarterbacks around the league, a lot of his contemporaries, including Ryan Tannehill, unfortunately for Titans fans, have not been able to prove that they are capable of doing. And that doesn't mean that Tannehill won't ever do it. Doesn't mean that there can't be some other guys besides the elite quarterbacks to step into that plane and potentially get a team there down the road. But Garoppolo has proven over the last couple of years, if nothing else, that he's a winner and that he has the potential to get a team to that ultimate game. And he nearly did it again yesterday. Our phone lines are open, 737-7767, the number. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of your phone calls after this, plus much more. This is Sportsline on News Channel 5+.